We are easing ourselves in.
We're so smart
Yeah,
on
we are.
accident.
I know.
Welcome to the Incoherent Fangirl.
Where we are back, babies.
Welcome back. I'm
This is so
Karin.
exciting.
Ugh, we're a little off our game, but it'll be fine.
Yeah.
I'm Karin from the Cala Vista Motel.
And I'm Mandy of Starling House. And we may be off our game, but we're still on our brand.
Very much so.
I mean,
I
hi.
think being off our game is on brand.
Exactly. Yeah.
So it's perfect.
If we were on our game, we would be off brand. And that's not what we want to be.
No,
No,
exactly.
never.
In our timeline, it is August 17th. I don't understand how it is August already.
It's
And in
weird.
y'all's timeline, it's August 25th. I don't like it.
I'm not a fan of this
This
situation.
is not cool. I don't like
I
it.
feel like yesterday it was February.
I feel like the year just started, and now you're telling me it's over halfway
Yeah,
through.
I
I don't
don't know.
I don't like that.
Time is a thief.
It's rude is what it is.
Last night we found some old videos of the twins and George Bailey when they were all babies.
Mm.
And we were just watching it like, where did the time go?
I got one
What
of those
happened?
things in my Facebook memories where it was like, on this day, however many years ago, you posted this, and it was a side by side of my kid from like 18 or a year and a half to 2.5 years, and she was wearing like this same exact thing. And I was like, but she was also so tiny, and
Yeah.
I don't understand.
I sent you one of those recently of my baby niece in January. And then like last week when she started pre-K, and it's like she went from being a toddler to a full-blown kid
Hmm.
literally overnight.
I
And
don't get it.
I don't get it.
I don't
I don't know how it
understand.
happened.
I don't like it.
I
I
need to
don't like it
stop
at all.
blinking.
Basically, that's
Yeah.
what it is. Yeah.
Just stay.
It's
Get some
very,
toothpicks.
very Doctor Who. Don't blink.
Yeah, yeah.
This week in fangirling. What?
Woo!
Well, okay, maybe not this week, but what are we
Yeah.
talking about? What are we talking about? I don't even know what
Okay,
we're
so
talking about.
I have like a best of the break, and then I have my this week in fangirling. Mostly because I read Divine Rivals by Rebecca Ross, and I could not have survived not talking about it on the podcast. Like, so this is just purely for my survival at this point. Okay. So in Divine Rivals, you have two young journalists, and they're in a world that is different from ours, but very similar. It gives me like 1930s or 40s vibes. Like there's record players and typewriters and newspapers, and like the clothes are described very like 40s-esque. So we have Iris and Roman are our main characters, and they're competing to get this coveted position of columnist at the Oath Gazette where they both work, and they freaking hate each other. Okay, I think Iris refuses to read anything that Roman writes, and because she's like, I don't want him to know that I even care about anything to do with him. Like, I'm not even going to spend my time. Meanwhile, he reads everything she writes because he's like, that's my competition. I have to know what I'm up against. So Iris's brother has left to fight in a war between gods, and her mother is not coping very well with that. Her mother has taken to the bottle, lost her job, and is just kind of like, they're very poor. She eats like cans of peas at night for dinner when she gets home. So Iris struggles with a lot of anxiety over her brother and her mother and her financial situation, and like she really has to become the columnist. So she starts writing these letters to her brother even though she doesn't have an address to send them to, just as like a way to cope, and she shoves them in her wardrobe door where they disappear. And so she's like, that's weird, but okay. Unbeknownst to Iris, they're being magically delivered to Roman.
Ooh.
And she's like, what? Or she doesn't know. He's like, what? So he writes back anonymously, even though he knows it's Iris from the jump, because I think she says she works at the newspaper and she's fighting for this columnist job. So for reasons that are spoilery, Iris ends up volunteering to write for a different paper that like is reporting on the war front. So they are sending journalists to the front lines, and she's like, this will get me closer to my brother and finding out like I feel like I know he's alive, but like I need to know where he is. He's all she has in the world. But she takes her typewriter and she keeps writing letters to this mysterious pen pal, and she's falling in love with this mysterious pen pal while she's on the front lines of this war. It gives, like, TikTok has made this like resurgence of Work Song by Hosier, which is crazy to me that people have lived without it for the past decade. Like, how? But if you want a book that is no grave can hold my body down, I'll crawl home to her. You've got to read Divine Rivals. It has the most upsetting cliffhanger. The second book is out the day after Christmas, and I will be doing nothing for anybody else but reading this book because I have to know what happened, what is going on. It is so freaking good. I listened to the audiobook. It was incredible. I cannot say enough. I cannot say enough good things about that book. It was insane. It's very lovely war vibes. Very lovely
Okay.
war vibes. Yeah. Like the
Okay.
same, like you see the same era, the same, yeah. God's
Okay.
excellent. Excellent.
Okay.
So read Divine Rivals. It's so good.
I'll
My
wait till
bestie
December.
here. Yeah. My bestie here told me that I had to read it, and she warned me. She was like, at the end, you're going to be upset. And I texted her, I was like, how could you do this to me? How could you do this to me? Why? So yeah, excellent.
I will continue
Okay.
putting that off till December.
Yeah. But then like blow up my phone when you do, because I feel like we have switched roles this week because I read a lot this week. So
I've
buckle
read a
up.
lot. But
I'm going to try to go fast. I read The Fake Mate by our bestie, Lana Ferguson. So it's a shifter romance who follows Mackenzie, you can call her Mac, who's trying to get her grandmother to leave her alone about getting a boyfriend. So she's like, she's tired of like dating random guys who are like obsessed with model trains. So she's like, Grandma, stop. And then you have Noah, who's facing disciplinary action at work for not disclosing the fact that he's an alpha wolf. Apparently you have to disclose that because there could be, it's kind of a prejudice in my opinion, but there could be workplace hazards involved with that. So they're both doctors, they work at the same hospital, and through a funny twist of fate, they end up hatching this plan to fake date because it'll get her grandmother off her back, it'll get this advisory board off of his back, and then they're gonna fake be mates since it's a wolf shifter book, and they're like, it's just gonna get everybody off of our backs, and then eventually we'll break up, and they don't really think too far into that. Yeah. So they're both hot, but Mac is the one who really like realizes like, hey, you're pretty fine. So she's like, why don't we add some benefits? And we both vow not to catch any feelings, but we know how cartoon cover romances go. So
of course.
it was very Lana Ferguson. I will say that. If you like The Nanny, you will love The Fake Mate. Very,
I'm so
very good.
excited to read it. It's on my Kindle.
I have a
Yay.
blog post about it. It's yeah, super, super good. So next, I listened to an advanced copy of Bookshops and Bone Dust by Travis Baldree. So this is a prequel to Legends and Lattes. It shows Viv, who is the main character of Legends and Lattes, who's spending a summer in this seaside town of Merck. She's gotten an injury while she was hunting this powerful necromancer, and so she's got to take it easy. And so they send her to the seaside town, and they're like, just chill out here, everything's calm and peaceful, and once you're fully healed you can come back. So she befriends Fern, who's the sassy owner of this like really rundown raggedy bookstore, and in true Viv fashion, if you've read Legends and Lattes, she instantly like gets to work, and she's like, we're gonna save this dying bookstore, we're gonna do this and this to improve, this is how we're gonna make everything great for you. There's adventure because there's still a necromancer out there. There's a summer fling before we send Viv into Legends and Lattes, and spoilers, romantically. It's cozy and so freaking cute, and it's really relatable for book people. Fern is all of us. She has like all of these books that no one is interested in like ever, and so Viv is like, just get rid of them, and Fern is like, get rid of books? I'm not going to do that. Whether or not they're sellable books, she does not care. She's like, it's books though. Like so very, very cozy, very lovely. I have a blog post about it and The Fake Mate up if anybody wants to read those. And then I read a series. I think you've talked about some of these, so I'll go quick.
Yeah.
I read the Witches of Thistle Grove series. So I've got Payback's a Witch, From Bad to Cursed, Back in a Spell, and most of In Charm's Way by Lana Harper. So in Payback, we follow Emmy, Talia, and Emmy's best friend Lyndon, who team up to get back at Gareth Blackmore, a douchebag who played them all, by cheating and lying and
It's
manipulating.
very John Tucker Must Die.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So they vow to beat him or to show him whatever by besting his family during the town's like annual magical games. And Emmy and Talia have a little fun. Then we have From Bad to Cursed, which is Issa and Rowan's book. They're characters in the Thistle Grove town. It's an enemies to lovers where Issa and Rowan are forced to team up to solve a mystery. There is someone targeting members of Rowan's family, and they don't know why, but it appears to be someone from Issa's family. So she's trying to clear her family's name. He's trying to protect his. I loved Rowan. Then my favorite was Back in a Spell.
It's the best one of the four.
It is. It's Morty's book. So Morty is non-binary, but leans more to he than he, they. So Nina and Morty have this really bad, awkward date. And Morty realizes that Nina is a Blackmore, just like Gareth, who we had to best in book 1. He's even more turned off. He's like, "You're a Blackmore? Scum. Get away." But overnight, Morty develops magical powers, which is something that a normie like him shouldn't be able to do unless, oh my God, they're witch married. How are they witch married? So they have to work together, which is kind of like mated if you think about like Akatar or whatever. Yeah. So they have to work together to find out why and how it's happening, and more importantly, how to like stop it, cut it off. And then in Charm's Way, we have Delilah and Kat. Delilah performs a dangerous spell to recover from something that happens in Back in a Spell. It's a spoiler, so I don't want to say, but she's trying to fix a problem. Unfortunately, this spell took more from her than she knew was gonna take from her, and it opens herself up as a target to a bunch of weird cryptids. Thankfully, the super hot Catriona shows up, and she just so happens to be a monster hunter. So, I mean, I've loved them all so far. I loved Morty's book. I liked the rest. They're good. And then last, I forgot I have this because I had to drop my husband off at the airport today, and I started an audiobook on the way home. So I started Starling House by Alex E. Harrow. So we have Opal. She lives in Eden, Kentucky, which is the land of coal mines and not much else other than bad luck. Like the town is cursed.
Oh, no.
So it's the home of this well-known and reclusive E. Starling, who is the author of a legendary children's book called The Underland. So this was her home before she mysteriously disappeared, right around the time that Starling House appeared, just out of nowhere. So Opal is working like a dog to get her younger brother Jasper out of this town through college and onto a better life. She's like, "I don't care what I have to do. I have to get you out." She's haunted by dreams of Starling House. So she ends up approaching it. And the first time she goes up, she runs into this guy who just says, "Run." And like, he's really creepy. So she turns around and she runs. So the next day she goes back and she's like, she knocks on the door and it's the same guy. And he's like, "I thought I told you to run." They have this back and forth, and he ends up offering her a job housekeeping because he is the awkward as fuck heir and sole occupant of Starling House, Arthur. And in my notes, I wrote, "My dude is so freaking weird." He's described as like an underfed crow and a human gargoyle a couple of times. Like she says in the beginning, like his ugly face.
Oh no.
Yeah, it's bad. There's got to be more than meets the eye. He has next to no social skills, and he's really broody, and like he just doesn't know how to function around people. Like you can tell he's had a very odd upbringing. Like if I had to cast him as someone like in Hollywood, it would be Bill Skarsgård, like 100%. He gives off like creepy Bill Skarsgård vibes for me. So as she starts working at Starling House, Opal starts being stalked by this person who says they're a researcher who's desperate to get access to the Starling House land. And I'm early, but it's giving a lot of like, there's a lot of talk about like poisoned water and deaths at the coal mine. And it's making me think of like the controversy around Teflon with what's that Mark Ruffalo movie? I can't remember. And then like Flint, Michigan vibes. So like something's being covered up, something's been done. The people are not well for a lot of reasons. Why? And that's kind of where I've left off, is this researcher kind of harassing her about figuring out, is this researcher good and trying to help, or is this researcher working for the power company trying to,
figure out what people know, make it worse.
Yeah, make it worse.
Okay.
And that was my week and my best of the break. That was a lot. Whew.
Okay.
Now it's your turn. What did you do this week, and what was your favorite thing about the break?
I read a shit ton over the break. I'm gonna pull He Who Breaks the Earth by Caitlin Sangster as one of my favorites from the break. It is the second book in her God's Touch duology. So, She Who Rides the Storm was one of, I think, my top three for like biggest cliffhanger from last year. And so I was really looking forward to this book, and I just could not find the time to fit it in because they are chonky
Yeah.
books. I think they're like 700 pages each.
Woo.
And I had to reread the first book because it's been so long and there was so much material. So I was like, I need to find time to read 1,400 pages. So it took me a while, but I got there and it was so good. There was a huge cliffhanger after book one. And so going into book two, before I started it, I had forgotten what the cliffhanger was. I knew there was a cliffhanger, but I had
Yep.
forgotten. So I reread it. And as I'm rereading it, I'm getting to the end and I'm in Caitlin's DMs. Like, I just remembered this is the thing.
Yeah.
And I can't believe you made me wait.
Yeah.
um, but it was really good. It was just as good as the first book. I am obsessed and I'm really sad that this series isn't getting as much love as I think it deserves. It's so good. So it follows these four kids, not kids, they're like, it's young adults, so they're probably like late
Yeah.
teens, early 20s. And they all kind of have like separate paths, but they come together because of one thing or another. So you have two of them, Anwe and I forget his name, Mateo, I think. Maybe Mateo's the other one. Mateo's the other one. I don't know. Anyways, there's two boys and two girls.
Uh-huh.
Two of them are like kind of hiding from the guards, whoever is. There's like an overlord and their guards are looking for them because he's like run away from the guards. He used to be one of them, but he like
Okay.
took something and ran away, and now he's
Defected.
in
Yeah.
hiding. Yeah. And she is in hiding from them because people think that her abilities are like witchcraft, which is frowned upon.
Mhm.
And so these guard people can like see people's auras, and they're different colors for depending on like if you have magic, then you're this color. If you are part of the guard, then you're this color. If you're such and such. So for some reason, these two, when they come together, cancel each other's auras out. And so the guards can't see them. So they stick together in order to stay in hiding. Meanwhile, on the other side of it, the other pair, he's the one who's got like the witchy powers, and she is part of the guard. And
Ah.
she leaves the guard because the overlord has decided that there are not enough people who are coming to join the guard, because you have to have this certain ability in order to join the guard, and there's not enough people who have this ability. So she's decided that this girl is going to be married off to one of the other guards who is trash, like sexual assaulter, kind of like,
Ugh.
it's bad. And so the overlord's like, you guys are going to get married and make little babies who will grow up and join the guard. And so she's like, no, 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 that's not
No, I don't
happening.
think I'll do that.
She runs off and goes back to her family's house, who are trying to hide her. And because of the way like their powers work, she like loses the color in her aura when she leaves, and so they aren't able to find her that way, which is good for her,
Okay,
but
yeah.
she loses that ability to spot them as well. So yeah.
Oh, shit.
And so then she's like hiding at her parents' house, and this other kid comes, and he for some reason has the ability to like spot little peaks of their auras, and he's able to find her. And so his dad is like, y'all should get married, and and yeah, it's a whole thing. So they have to like pretend that they're going to be dating so that they can like keep her away from the guards and all of this. And they all like eventually cross paths and things and whatever, and things are revealed, and it's very shocking at the end of book 1, and book 2 continues it, and it's like, really, I had no idea where it was going to go, because there were very specific things that had to happen, and they were all like bad things, like this person had to die in order for this person to survive, but like you want all of them to survive because they're
you
all,
like them all.
yeah. And so you're like, oh my god, how's it gonna work? And then like this person loses their memory, and then it's chaos, but it's so good. And it's like, I don't even know how to properly describe it, but it's so good. And I just wish more people read it because it's so good.
It's on my list.
It's a big commitment. It's a big commitment. But it's very good. I really enjoyed it. So I'm gonna say that was my best of the break. One of my best from the break.
Okay.
As far as this week goes, I read In Charm's Way. I finished it. It is probably my least favorite of the series. For me, like, it's not bad. It's not bad at all. It's just the way that it wraps up at the end just didn't work for me.
Yeah.
It you know, like, I don't know. It just was like, I was reading and I was like, oh, I have like one more chapter left and they're going to resolve everything in this one chapter kind of thing. It felt very abrupt.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Maybe we'll see what happens if there's a 5th book. Maybe it'll make me feel better about this ending.
I think I said the same thing to you after like the first or second one. I was like, it moves so fast. But then Morty's book I was thrilled with. So
yeah, Morty's book was definitely my favorite of the 4 so far. So yeah. And then I read Loathe to Love You by Ali Hazelwood, which is a collection of 3 novellas. So the first one is called Under One Roof, which follows Mara and Liam, and Mara inherits a house from her mentor who has passed away. The only problem is that Liam owns the other half of the house, and he doesn't like the idea of her coming to stay, so he tries to buy her out, and she's like, no, I need this house. I just finished grad school. I have no money. There's nowhere for me to go. And also it's very sentimental because her mentor was basically the only family she really had. Yeah. So she was like, I'll just live here until I get on my feet, and then I can go like rent an apartment, but I'm not selling. Like, no matter what, I'm not selling. Yeah. And so then it's like forced proximity and enemies to lovers, and
Mentor knew what Mentor was doing.
There's one point in like the later part of the book where she was like, it's so weird that she never tried to set us up, and he's like,
really? What do you think this is?
What do you think this is?
Yeah.
And she like doesn't get it, and it's so cute. But yeah, it's great. It's Ali Hazelwood. So, things happen. Second one follows her friend. It's called Stuck With You. Follows her friend Sadie, who is a civil engineer, and Eric, he worked in the same building as she did. And they had like a chance encounter at like this, I think it's a coffee shop, where she was like, I need to have this specific croissant before I go into this pitch meeting, because even though she's a scientist, she's very superstitious. Okay. She's like, in order for this pitch to go well, and this pitch has to go well, I have to be wearing my lucky lavender underwear, and I have to have this croissant from this shop. And he had bought the very last one.
No.
Before she had gotten there. And so she's like she's talking to like the owner, I guess, like, you don't have any more croissants, like consistent, just being like, you don't have any more? Are you sure you don't have any more? And he's like, I guess overhears, and he walks over, he's like, here, just take it, and then walks off. And she was like, what just happened? She ran after him. She was like, hey, blah, blah, blah. And so they meet and they like hit it off, and they like plan for a date for later that evening, and it goes really well. And then she finds out like the next day, the pitch that she gave, it did go really well. However, something happens and somebody else gets the contract. And turns out it's his company that gets the contract. And so she's pissed. She's like, how dare you? I'm never speaking to you. And she blocks his number, doesn't talk to him, like,
you
anything.
Cursed my croissant.
And he is like, oh, it's actually really cute, because he was like, he thinks that she stopped talking to him because when they had their date, things ended up in the bedroom, and
Yeah.
he's like, oh my gosh, I was all over you, you hated that, I should have checked in with you more, and that's
Yeah.
why he thinks that she's not talking to him. And
Oh.
eventually she like he like they get trapped in an elevator together, and she's like, that's not why, and
Yeah. No.
explains, and he's like, I didn't do that, and he has to
Yeah.
go through, and so there's a whole big thing, and it's very cute. Things get resolved in the end, obviously, because they need to be together after that meet cute. It's very cute.
Yeah.
So yeah, and then the last one is called Below Zero, and it follows their other best friend, Hannah, who has always wanted, not has always, but eventually she was kind of a bad kid, not great at school, wasn't, never anticipated going to grad school and all of that, but fell in love with the idea of working for NASA, and so went through grad school, got her PhD and all of that, is now working for NASA. And what's his name? What's his name? La la la. I'm
Eh,
really bad at
it's
this.
not his name.
His name is not listed anywhere on here. How is that possible?
The guy with the face.
Anyways, it's Ian. Ha! I found it. His name is Ian, and he is Mara's, and I quote, cousin or something, because they have no idea how they're related.
Yeah.
And so during grad school, Hannah had to like interview somebody with the job that she wanted and
Mhm.
all of this. And so Mara's like, I'll introduce you to my cousin or something, Ian, and you can interview him. And she goes, and they have a moment. And Hannah is very much like, I don't want a relationship, I just want to have sex. And
Yeah.
he was like, well, I don't want to do that. So if you want to go and have dinner with me before we do that, like, then
Yeah.
maybe. And
Then I
she's
won't feel
like,
like such a creep.
yeah. And she's like, that's not my jam. And so they part ways, and like amicably part ways, all of that. Nothing happens. 5 years later, she's now working for NASA. He's like in charge of something at NASA, and they meet again, and they are, like being friendly and all of that. And then Hannah submits a proposal to get a grant to do something in, I think, like Norway or something,
Mhm.
and finds out that Ian is the one who, what's the word, refuses it. He's the one who is like, no, she shouldn't
Oh
get this money.
no.
He turns it down. And she's furious at him. He's trying to explain to her, and she's like, never mind. Her, I guess, boss, team leader, whoever, found like money somewhere else. And she's like, we're going to do it anyways. And so she goes and does the project in Norway. And turns out he had a very good reason to say no, because it's super dangerous.
Yeah.
She like falls into a crevasse, injures her ankle, and it's in like a crazy snowstorm is coming, and NASA can't send anybody to get her. So basically, she's stuck in a crevasse with an injured ankle and is probably going to freeze to death. When all of a sudden Ian comes out of nowhere and is like, I got you. And
Ian, you dog.
he explains, he doesn't actually explain why he's there at first. And she was like, what are you doing here? And because he's coming and he's like not dressed in NASA gear or anything like that. And she's like, I thought NASA wasn't going to send anybody. And eventually she finds out that he just took time off and came to Norway just in case,
Ian.
because he was like, it's too dangerous.
Angel.
Yeah. So, and so they go through, all that, and eventually, good things happen because it's a
Yeah.
romance, and it's
Yeah.
very cute, and I really enjoyed it, and it's Allie Hazelwood, and we love her.
Yeah. What's not to love?
And then I read Belladonna by Adlin Grace. That cliffhanger at the end, I'm very mad about, but it's okay. Foxglove comes out next week.
I was gonna say, what are you more mad about, the cliffhanger or Fairy jerking you around this morning?
Both of them. Okay, I specifically read Belladonna this week because I have the Fairy Loot edition of the physical book, and they have their exclusive edition of the sequel was supposed to go on sale yesterday. So I was like, I need to make sure that I read it, because I need to know if I'm going to want the sequel so that they match. And if I don't like the book, then I don't have to buy the sequel.
Right.
But then they were having issues with their website. It was down for maintenance, all of that. They fixed all of that, and they're like, we're pushing the sale back to tomorrow, which is today, and everything's going to stay the same. The website is fixed now, so the sale will go on as normal. I wake up at 4 a.m. because I'm on the West Coast, and it's British time and it's noon over there, but it's 4 a.m. here. And I actually wake up when my alarm goes off and I get the email and there's a whole just chaos on the website. At first, I can't add it to my cart because they can only hold it for 10 minutes, even though I haven't even been on the website for 10 minutes. And then there was issues logging in and there was issues with payment. And I got like 4 confirmation emails. And I was like, as long as I have a payment that went through and a confirmation email, I feel okay.
Yeah.
So eventually it worked out, but it was not the morning.
Harrowing.
It's so
harrowing experience.
It was at 4 in the morning.
Yeah.
By 4:30, I was like, I'm done. It better be fixed when I wake up. And thankfully it was. But anyways, Belladonna, you've got Signa, who is 19 years old, and she is an orphan. She's been an orphan since she was a baby because everybody around her died. And so she's hopped from like family to family basically her entire life. And her family is not great. They only want to take her in because she has a very large inheritance coming when she turns 20. And so she gets tossed around, and it's the only reason that she jumps from family to family is because they all keep dying. And so she thinks that death is just following her around wherever she goes, which is added to the fact that the literal person death is following her around, for reasons that we find out later in the story. But yeah, so she's like, I'm cursed, everybody around me dies, this is the worst. And so she ends up at her last living relative. I think it's Lillian is the relative. So Lillian is like her aunt or something. Lillian has just passed away, and her husband is like not taking it well. He's decided he's going to throw parties and drink constantly to kind of get over it. Her cousin, the boy, whose name I can't remember, he's all grumpy because her uncle has, pulled him from getting their family business. And so he's grumpy about that. And then Lillian's daughter, her younger cousin, has taken ill. And it seems like she has whatever Lillian had and is not long for this world. And so one night, Signa can see spirits. And so one night, Lillian's spirit comes to her and she's like, you need to come to the garden so that you can save her. And Signa realizes that Lillian didn't die by some illness. She was poisoned, and the same thing is now happening to her cousin. And so she has to form an alliance with death in order to figure out who killed Lillian and how to save her cousin. And there is a stable boy whose name I can't remember, who she also confides in and helps her with this investigation. And there's kind of like, she's kind of having conflicting feelings, like, oh my gosh, I think I like death, but oh my gosh, I think I like the stable boy. And it's like, oh no, but I can't like death because he's death. And
death
so
needs love too.
Death needs love too, okay? And the other thing that I forgot to mention is that Signa can't die. So so in order for her to actually see and talk to death, which she does whenever he's around, or if he's not around, she'll take a couple of belladonna berries, which are poisonous, and die temporarily so that she can talk to him. And it's interesting. It's fun times. But, death is like, you can figure out how to do this without actually dying temporarily. And she's like, what?
What do you mean?
He's like, yeah, you just have to work on your powers. You have powers. She's like, what? And so they bond and things happen and it's so good. And who knew that we would love death?
Yeah, who knew we'd love death that much?
But it's really good. And there's a cliffhanger at the end, and I'm so
hate when they do that. I love when they do that, but I hate when they do that.
I'm worried because Foxglove comes out next week, which is great, but there's a third book.
Oh shit.
So I'm like, oh shit.
Oh no.
I thought I avoided it, but according to Goodreads, there's a third book. So I'm like,
it sucks to be you right now.
It really does. It really does. So yeah, after I read Belladonna, because I didn't have my feelings hurt enough, I read Unexpecting by Jen Bailey, which is Juno meets Heartstopper. And I read the description for this book and I was like, Mandy, this is gonna break me.
Yep.
And you were like, yep, absolutely it will. And we were correct. It absolutely did. To the point where I was sitting there reading and sobbing so hard that my daughter walks in and is like, do you want me to get you a tissue? Because I can see your boogers. I was like, yes, I
Thank you,
need all
child.
I need all the tissues. So you've got Ben, who has came out as gay to his mom and his stepfather 2 months ago, and now he's sitting them down again to announce some more news, which is that he's going to be a father, which is not something anybody expected because
Well,
Ben is gay. However, he and his one of his best friends, Maxie, while away at summer camp, decided that they needed to conduct an experiment because how does he really know that he's gay?
yeah.
Let's test it because they're both logical scientific people. So like, he's like, let's test this out, and she wanted to do it because she was trying to break down the idea of like virginity and how it's a social construct and all of that.
Yeah.
So things happen, and now Maxie is pregnant, and so she gives him termination papers, like termination of parental rights papers, because that's what her parents want him to do so that they can give the baby up for adoption. And he brings them home, and he's telling his mom and his stepdad, and they're like, okay, we need to talk to the lawyers. And he's like, no, 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 I want to keep the baby. How do we
Yeah.
stop her? And so it goes on this
Oh,
whole journey of he's like trying to like balance school, and his mom's like, you need to get a job because you got to start saving for the baby if this is what you want to do. So he's balancing school and a new job and robotics club, which is on the line because like funding is down. So they're like, we need to place at our like competitions, otherwise we can't like prove to them that we need to be around. He has to balance, his friends and all of that, and he's taking parenting classes to prove that he can do it. All the while,
Angel, what a sweet baby.
he is sweet baby. All the while, Maxie's parents are like, we're gonna conduct interviews for adoptive parents. And so they're like going back and forth. Like he's trying to fight to be like, no, I want to raise the baby. And they're like, no, she's gonna give him up for adoption. And so there's this whole thing, and Ben starts like questioning, like, is this the right thing to do? As he gets like good things are happening. He had big plans, like he's going to go to MIT and he's going to do this and this and this because he's like a big science, robots, technology person, a STEM
Mhm.
person. And so and he gets accepted into the summer academy, which would be like the best opportunity, but his mom's like, well, you can't go,
Yeah.
you have to make sacrifices. If you want to be a parent, you have to make
Yeah.
sacrifices. So he's faced with all these challenges, these sacrifices, and he's like, wow, am I really making the right choice? And, in the end, he's like, what does it mean to be a parent? And it's heartbreaking and it's inspiring, and there's a lot of like, what does it mean to be a parent? What does it mean to be a family? And how does your love need to change? How do you need to present your love?
Right.
And it's got a really good ending, but getting there is hard. Is
The
very emotional.
journey.
There's a point where, and this is a trigger warning, there's a point where there are some pregnancy complications, and it's very scary.
Yeah.
And so I'm like sitting here like trying not to cry on my Kindle.
Yeah.
uh so it's very well done. Highly recommend it. And lastly, I am reading the Front Desk series by Kelly Yang, which follows a little girl named Mia. Her and her parents immigrated from China to California, and her parents, they used to have, he was a scientist, she was an engineer. Now they're in California, not exactly something they can do. But they do find a job as the managers of a motel, the Cala Vista Motel, and they get to live at the motel. They just have to manage it and all that. And Mia works the front desk after school, and they make friends with all of they call them the weeklies because they rent by the week, not by the night. And they basically live at the motel as well. And so they make friends with them, and they have to kind of figure out how to survive in their space because the owner of the motel is the worst. He is the type of immigrant who comes over, does well, and is like, well, I'm not going to help anybody else.
I hate that.
He's like, if you want to get where I am, then you need to do it on your own, kind of thing. And so he is very much like, anything you need to fix at the motel is on your dime. You get paid for this and that, and anything else you have to pay,
It's your problem.
even though he's the owner.
Mm-hmm.
And so yeah, they use the motel as kind of like a little hideaway for immigrants, who, like, one of the guys worked at a restaurant, and the restaurant owner like held their passports so they couldn't leave, and they were basically like slaves working in this guy's restaurant. And so one day,
Jesus.
like, ICE comes and they like get out a back way, and so he runs to the motel and like hides out there for like a couple days. Like, they give him like a room for free, like under the table, just to like get his bearings before anything goes. And so like they collect all these stories of like terrible places for immigrants to work.
Yeah.
And they really build a community. And Mia is very into writing, so she writes a lot of letters. And sometimes she doesn't send them, she just writes them. And sometimes she wrote a letter to like a credit card company being like, you declined my mom for a credit card, but I think you should reconsider, and went and wrote a whole letter and actually sent it off, and it worked. Like, she got her credit. It was very cute. And so that was like book one. And book two, they're dealing with Prop 187 in California, which would have pulled any undocumented immigrant children out of school, which actually did pass, but it was overturned. Nobody got pulled out of school. But her best friend Lupe is an undocumented immigrant, so that's kind of the crux of that. And her dad gets picked up, and there's this whole thing, and they really, the community comes together, and like there's a letter writing campaign to like senators, and like, you have to let him stay because you can't separate him from his daughter, and it's very cute. And then the third book, she goes back to visit with her family in China, and they come back after like a 6-week vacation to find that the motels on their same street have merged and become a big giant motel, and they have no business. And so now they have to figure out how to compete with a chain as a mom and pop shop.
Yeah.
And so these stories are all based on things that happened to the author. And like, she
That's cool.
grew up like working at the front desk of a motel that her parents managed, and all of this. And she puts a lot of like things that actually happened in like Prop 187.
Cool.
There were hate crimes that happened around the time that Prop 187 was on the ballot, and she wrote those into the story. She did a lot of research and spoke with like actual undocumented immigrants who she said were like the nicest people, welcomed her with open arms, like, we're happy to talk with her. And she like went and like, I think one of the jobs was like picking grapes or something. And she was like, I could barely last like 30 minutes because it's awful.
Nobody's taking your jobs.
Yeah. And so it's really good. I'm gonna read the fourth book, and then I have an arc of the fifth book. But I think it's middle grade, but I think it's really well written. It's very cute. I think it's great for kids to read as well, to kind of like, because there's a lot of things that you can learn from the series. And Kelly Yang herself I think she's had several of her books banned or challenged.
That's the dream.
It's hard because like, it's hard enough, like, and she says this much more eloquently, like, we can sit here and say like, I want to write a book that gets banned or challenged in like Florida or something like that, but also like, as a minority, that actually makes it hard. It's already hard enough,
it harder to get out.
And then
That's
for
fair.
it to be banned. So she says it a lot better than I do, but like,
no, that makes sense.
That's the gist of it. But she's very vocal and active about book banning and all of that. And she's like an inspiration, and I love her.
I saw a
And
quote from somebody recently that was like, if you look at history, never has it been the good guys that were the ones banning the books. Just saying.
yeah,
Anyways,
I saw something, this is only slightly rated, but I saw something on Facebook where it was like, live your life so that if it was written into a book, it'd be banned in like
yeah,
Florida or something. I was like,
that,
you know what?
and then live your life so that Westboro Baptist Church would protest your funeral.
Yes.
Challenge accepted.
Oh yeah, absolutely. So that's what I read this week. I'm on chapter 7 of an arc of Tessa Miata is No Hero by Julie. I want to say Abe. It was recently come to my attention that it might be Abe. I don't actually know. It looks like Abe,
It looks like Abe to me.
but she is Japanese, so it could be Abe. I don't
Yeah.
know. So I'm sorry if I'm mispronouncing it. But it's fun so far. Tessa can see like spirits and stuff, and her family is like, she lives with her two older sisters and her grandma, and her sisters are really worried about her. And after an incident at a summer camp, her grandma and her sisters, they're like, we're gonna go visit our paternal grandparents in Japan for the summer. And so her and her sisters fly to Japan, and she's like super excited because she's like, I'm gonna prove to my classmates that I'm not a weirdo. But then she realizes like she's just gonna have to stay indoors the whole time and doesn't get to go out with her parents or her sisters. But then something happens to like a precious heirloom of her family's, and it releases like this malicious samurai god, and she has to like stop him with like the neighbor
Hey,
boy. So I'm not very far into it, so I don't know what happens, but it's really good so far. I'm
that's
very excited.
cute.
I feel really bad for her, because I can like relate to feeling like, oh, everybody thinks I'm a weirdo. And she's feels so
Good thing for
isolated.
you. I love weirdos. So,
I know. We love weirdos. But
yeah,
yeah, like she doesn't have any friends. Like her sisters love
poor
her, but
thing.
like, she's 12 and they're like 16 and 17, so like,
Yeah, it's
so like
different.
I'm just like, poor thing. But she's like, so hopefully she goes on a journey. I think she's gonna go on a journey. There's a book 2 apparently. So hopefully there's like, it's a concluded journey, and then it just starts a new journey in the other one, I hope.
Okay,
Because I don't want
gotcha.
any cliffhangers.
Yes, please.
I've been traumatized by cliffhangers. So
Agree.
that was
Same.
my week in fangirling.
Woo!
I will say I am currently watching the current season of Claim to Fame, and I've been watching it with our friend Casey. I say watching it, but like I watch it when it airs and she watches it the next day and we discuss. And
Yeah.
we figured out who everybody was from after like the third week,
Yeah.
because we Googled a lot. We're allowed to Google, the contestants can't,
Yeah.
obviously. And so we've been like, there's this one guy that we really hate. His name is Chris. He's the child of Donny Osmond, and nobody can figure out who he is. Oh, sorry if anybody's watching, I'm spoiling it for you. But nobody can figure out who he is, and it's driving us crazy because he's so manipulative and so backstabby, and he looks like a douchebag. He kind of looks like John Mayer, like that kind of douchebaggy look.
Yeah.
And
Hmm.
so, but nobody can figure him out, and like it's driving us crazy because like their guesses are so bad. They're so
Has the
bad.
girl thrown the hissy fit yet?
That was the first episode.
Because I've seen that all over TikTok.
If I was Tom Hanks, I would disown her.
I was gonna say, from what I saw on TikTok, I would never speak to that person
I
again. If
would
I was a celebrity, I would write you out of the will. I would not sit at
it's
Thanksgiving
like
with you. I'm done.
I would
Shocking.
if it was anybody but Tom
Shocking.
Hanks, I would have disowned that celebrity. Like I would
Yeah.
not I would
Yeah,
like
we're not disowning Tom Hanks,
no,
but
but it's Tom Hanks. Like Tom Hanks needs to like
yeah.
you are related
Yeah.
to Tom freaking Hanks and you're going to act like that?
Yeah.
No.
No.
Yeah. She
No,
was the
ma'am.
first one out.
Good.
Yeah. And that's why she threw the
She
hissy fit.
needed to be.
That's why
Yeah.
she threw the hissy fit,
She
because
was
she was the
like,
first one out. But
I didn't even get
like,
to do anything or
and
something like
it's
that.
so funny because she was like, even Gabriel gets to stay, and he's so dumb, and he's like in the top 4 right now, and he's like sneaky smart. Like he
Yeah.
really is. He's like sneaky smart. He is the brother of Nick Cannon, and they haven't figured that out yet, and it's so funny to watch. But yeah, so like for Chris, they've guessed Elvis Presley because the clue that they got for him says the clue is like there's a dog and a heart and then like a t-shirt and one of those little babushka dolls and like
Uh-huh.
a bunch of t-shirts, right? And if you figure out the clue, it translates to puppy love teen idol in the 70s. But when they first get the clue, because Donny
Yeah.
Osmond's song
Yeah.
"Puppy Love" is the song, but when they first get the clue, the girl who guessed him was like she like translated to something like Tennessee, and she's like he was born in Tennessee, and I'm like, ma'am, no, and
Yeah.
he died in the 70s, and I was like, you guessed that, you're gonna be so wrong, and she was wrong, and she got sent home. This was Dolly Parton's niece.
Wait, but Elvis, I don't think Elvis was born in Tennessee. I thought he was born in Mississippi.
He wasn't born in Tennessee. That's my
Okay.
point.
I'm like, wait a second.
I
He
know. That
died
was my
in
point.
Tennessee. He
She
wasn't
was
born
like,
there.
yeah, she was like, he was born in Tennessee and he died in the 70s. And I'm sitting here like, girl, he was born in Mississippi.
What's now I'm like, it's
He was not born in Tennessee.
Tupelo. Tupelo. He was born in Tupelo.
Tupelo, Mississippi. Yeah.
Yeah.
The only reason I know is because of the movie. But
I know, no,
anyways,
I know it because my
it's your
grandmother was an
grandma. Yeah.
Elvis
But
fangirl.
no, so she was like convinced. She's like, we're gonna get him out. I'm gonna stay. And she guessed it and she was shocked. And I was like,
That is so funny.
yeah. And so they guessed Elvis, and then the next one they guessed was Elton John. And I was like, the point at which they guessed it, they're like, it's somebody who has a Vegas residency, and who wears colorful coats and was born in Utah.
Elton John, Adele. Yeah, those are the ones you go
Yeah.
after.
And
Britney Spears.
they're like, was Elton John born in Utah? And it like goes quiet. And I'm sitting here yelling. I'm like, Sir Elton John? Born in Utah? Are you sure about that?
My God.
They felt pretty sure enough to guess. They were
Oh
very
my
wrong.
God.
And then more recently, this is not a guess that they actually like guessed that got somebody out, but they were like chatting about it. Okay, Chris is this pasty ass white boy, right?
Mhm.
Somebody was like, well, it could be Prince. I'm sorry.
No.
I'm sorry, what?
Uh-uh.
I'm sorry. You think this pasty ass white boy is related to Prince?
No. Oh God.
That's not the guess that they went with. They went with Billy Idol, which again, what? I don't. I'm every week I am yelling at this TV because these people are so dumb because it's all wrong. They're so it's
You're
terrible.
just so far off.
I'm really mad though because this past week the person who guessed is JR and he was Lil Nas X's big brother. And I really wanted him to win. And I'm really sad that he got sent home
Oh,
because of stupid fucking Chris. I'm mad.
damn it, Chris.
So the only people who are left as of this moment are Chris, who is Donny Osmond's son, Monet, who is JB Smooth's daughter, Carson, who is Dale Earnhardt Jr.'s, I want to say niece, related to Dale Earnhardt Jr. somehow, and then Gabriel, who is Nick Cannon's brother. And it's really funny to me because on Gabriel's clue, it's like got like a baby carriage and then 10 babies. And then
they didn't guess.
and then it says and then there's a drum and a star for drumline, star.
Yeah.
And the problem is that the person who has the clue is Chris, and he's bad with pop culture. I guarantee you, if Monet had that clue, she would have figured it out already.
You'd be like, wait a second.
The even
1,000 babies.
even if I hadn't figured out who he was before that clue, that alone,
Yeah, that one you're done. That's it.
it's over. It's over. Like
Yeah.
how could you not know after that?
That's it.
But they still don't know. So the only person that they are sure on is Carson right now, which makes me sad because I like Carson. But at
Yeah.
this point, as long as anybody but Chris wins, I'm okay. I'm okay. As long as anybody but Chris wins. Because that bitch. Listen, we had Jenny McCarthy's niece. Their name's Olivia. They're queer and non-binary, and I love them, and I wanted them to win, and they were beautiful, and he like snuck her a clue but gave her like wrong information and got her sent home, and I am so mad. I will never ever forgive him for that.
How could
But
you do that to them, Chris?
Olivia.
How could you do that to them?
Justice for Olivia. Anyways,
Chris, you're the worst.
the worst. Seriously, the worst. Casey and I yell about it every week.
I
Every week.
love
Ugh,
Casey.
we love Casey. Anyways, sorry, I went on a rant there, but yeah,
Well, do you have a fictional boyfriend this week?
I do. It's not from something I read this week because I read a lot of middle grade, and that's weird. But
Yeah.
I did read it like Sunday, so it's like close enough. But it's from a book called Strings Attached by Aaron Thompson, and his name is Jake Davenport. And he is a former, he'll say football because it's in England, but it's soccer. He's a former soccer star from the Premier League, and there's a big scandal, and he has to tuck his tail between his legs and come home and hide for a little bit with
Mhm.
his cousin Hunter. And what he doesn't realize is his cousin Hunter is now roommates with Hunter's best friend, who also happens to be Jake's first love,
Oops.
who they had like a little summer fling like 12 years ago before he went off to Europe and joined the Premier League. And so now they have to like live together, but like not, things can't happen because they live together. And also, you're my cousin's best friend and all of that. But like, he's also just so soft. I love him.
Yeah.
He's so sweet. And he like is constantly like he falls first and he falls hard, and she's
Oh.
over here like, no, 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 I don't do feelings, I don't do feelings, there's no feelings, I don't do
Yeah.
feelings. And she's like,
He's like,
so
I
like,
do.
and he's just like trying to figure out how to be like, I think I want to not play
I
anymore and
like
stay here.
feelings. I want to do
um
feelings.
so yeah, he is very sweet. So Jake Davenport is my fictional
Okay.
boyfriend. How about you?
I have two.
Okay.
I can't not say Dr. Noah Taylor from The Fake Mates because he's Blue-Eyed Adam Driver.
Fair, fair.
I mean, he's Blue-Eyed Adam Driver, who's also an alpha wolf shifter.
I
But
mean,
he's broody and like rarely smiles, and they call him, oh my gosh, now I've forgotten what they call him. It's the boogeyman of Denver General, I think is the name of the hospital. So he's the boogeyman, and he's like, everybody's just like cowers when he's near because he's so like broody and angry all the
yeah,
time. And I love that. So Noah, and
fair.
then Roman Kit from Divine Rivals. He gave me like Killian Murphy vibes, but I had just done
Barbenheimer.
Barbenheimer. I'm sorry, trying to say Boppenheimer, Barbenheimer. So that
Fair,
like, and
fair.
he like, what's the show? Oh my gosh, Ashley is gonna kill me for this.
Oh
The show
no.
Peaky Blinders. Like Roman has like the Peaky Blinders like vibe. So, and then the crawl home to her, like no grave can hold my body down. I'll crawl home to her vibes of this book. Like Roman, give me that. Give me
Excellent.
that. Yeah.
I approve. Those are good ones.
Yeah.
We
You want to do
talked a
some
lot about,
announcements? Oh,
yeah.
sorry.
I was gonna say we talked a lot about what we read, and then the rest of the podcast is just that's it.
Yeah.
So I guess yes, announcements. We'll figure out a clever title for this
Yeah. Eventually.
eventually, maybe. Who knows?
Hmm.
We might just call it announcements. So, we have moved this piece of the podcast to the end because we made the decision over break that we would be doing fewer segments essentially. Our podcast episodes have been running very long, and which has been a lot of fun, but
Yeah.
I don't know that anybody wants to sit through 2 hours of us really all the time. I mean,
Yeah.
I love us, but like
And every
we're a
book we
lot.
got that week.
Yeah. So, what we're going to do moving forward, we will do This Week in Fangirling, we will do Fictional Boyfriend of the Week, and we will do either Intruder Alert or Fangirl Freestyle, depending on whether or not we have an author or somebody else coming on to be interviewed. As
Except
of
for
right
this week.
Except for this week. We did have somebody lined up for this week.
Yeah.
They had an emergency, so they couldn't come to sit with us, which we get it, and we hope
Yeah.
everything's okay with them.
Uh-huh.
Except for this week, we will not have either of those because it was very last minute. So this is what you've got for now. However, we will let you know that next week, we interviewed Hannah Nicole Mayer, who you might know her from TikTok.
Yeah.
She is very popular over on the TikToks, and she is the author of Assistant to the Villain, which comes out on August 29th. And
Mhm.
we got to sit down and chat with her about the book and convince her that we're her new best friends,
Yep.
because she is definitely one of us.
She's like
She,
kindred spirit with
she
us. It
fits
was crazy.
she fits the vibe very well.
Yeah.
So look forward to that next week. We've already recorded the
Yeah.
interview,
Which is not
but
normal. Normally we record
right.
episode
Normally we
start to
record,
finish.
right. But it's what fit with her schedule. So we
Yeah.
recorded the interview and it will be a part of next week's episode. And we have a few others lined up, which we will not tell you about quite yet.
I'm
Um,
dying over one of them. And right now it's not Rebecca Hughes. I will say, because every time I say I'm excited about an author, everybody's like, is it Rebecca Yarros? Not yet. We're
listen,
trying, like, we'll try.
listen. Every time we've said anything, people have said Rebecca Yarros. No matter what we do, no
I would
matter
love
what we
that.
say,
I'm going
no,
to
literally,
manifest.
literally, no matter what we say, people are convinced that we're talking to Rebecca Yarros. Which
Well,
I love this because they believe in us so much. We're working on it.
let me manifest.
Okay.
We're going to get Rebecca Yarros on this podcast. Okay, listeners, it's coming. It's not on the books yet. It will
But it's
happen
coming.
because we're going to manifest it. But in the next couple of weeks, when we say we're excited about an author, it's not her yet.
We
Love you.
promise. But yes, we have a couple confirmed and a couple that we're working on. The next person that we are talking to, I'm very excited about.
I'm
And
going to throw up.
I'm getting ready to tear them a new one, actually. I'm so mad.
I'm getting ready to like kiss the ground that they walk on.
I'm so mad.
Yeah.
But
So
it's
2 weeks.
exciting.
Well, I guess next week we'll announce who that is, and then 2 weeks
Yes.
from now you'll hear the interview. So
Yes.
not too much longer with the
It's very exciting.
secrets.
It's very exciting.
Yeah.
Yeah, so is that everything we have to announce?
No, we have merch.
Oh yeah, we have merch.
We have, so our patrons have already seen a teaser of these. We have 5 designs. We have the incoherent fangirl design. We have
Fictional boyfriend of the week.
fictional boyfriend of the week. We have 2 intruder alert designs.
Mm-hmm.
And then we have, I think my favorite is it says Ben, Bucky, and Noble, the trifecta, the incoherent fangirl.
How could we not?
Yeah, I mean, we had to have something about the Barnes trifecta. And actually, I was talking to the show husband this weekend. We have a friend whose last name is Barnes, who I think is single, ladies. I'm not trying to pimp him out though, like whatever. But I was like, I need to send him a shirt because he's a Barnes man. So yeah, I was like, I need to get a shirt for him.
I love it. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely a favorite.
Is it how did you do the website again? Now my brain has left. So buy the merch.
You can buy the merch. You go to theincoherentfangirl.com/shop. It will take you to the Printify shop. We are not making any of them. They are print on demand, and they will ship directly to you. So we will not be touching them at all. So you don't have to worry about us being absolutely terrible at shipping things.
No.
And I say this
quick. Yeah.
Very specifically because I have a box in my living room waiting to go to Mandy right now that has been there
since y'all west.
That I've slowly
the Chloe stuff.
It has
Chloe
moved.
Stuff took so long.
It has moved into different boxes as I've added stuff to it.
Yeah.
So we will not be touching.
We're not doing it.
It will come directly from them, so you don't have to worry.
They ship very quickly.
Yes.
And just the colors that you see on like mock-ups or like what I'm wearing, we have a lot of different color options. So you can choose what color shirt you want. So if you don't want like the mauve-y pink of the Incoherent Fangirl shirt, you can get it in green or, gray or whatever. They ship very fast.
They only let us pick a certain number of colors. So if there's a color that you want that isn't listed, let us know and we'll see if that's an option.
But it lets us get up to like 16 photo or colors. So there's a
Yeah,
lot
there's a lot of
already.
colors, but just in case. And the other thing is, I know a lot of people really love black. I do too. It's the color of my soul. Our designs are, I think they're all in black, right? So if you wanted something in black, we would have to change it to white.
Except
Um,
intruder alert. The intruder alert.
except for Intruder Alert
Yeah.
is on
One
black.
of them.
So yeah, if that was something that you wanted, like you just want something in black, let us know as well. We can adjust things as
Yeah.
needed. So send us an
And
email or a DM or
yeah.
whatever.
And we are not, it's flat pricing across the board. We're not being
Yes.
those beeholes who charge a different size for extra small than they do for a human sized person.
Yeah.
So
They are
same
the same
pricing across
price
the board.
across the board.
So yeah,
Yeah.
theincoherentfangirl.com/shop
You
and get
got
a t-shirt and then
merch.
post photos and tag us in it because I
Pretty
want like
please.
somebody wearing our merch.
That's
Like I've been
bonkers.
wearing like I've got the first 3 designs and I've been wearing them out in public and I'm like but I don't want to take a selfie and post it because
Yeah.
I want it to be a surprise. So now like, I'm excited for this episode to air so that we can
Yes.
show the world.
It's very exciting. We're very excited about it. It's funny because Mandy texted me. She's like, "So I did something, and if you hate it, we don't
No
have
one
to do
has to
it.
know.
Nobody has to know." And she sends me a picture of them, and I'm like, "What do you mean if I hate it? What's wrong with you? How dare you doubt me?"
Well, I didn't want to be like, oh my gosh, let's do t-shirts and then like they be bad or like the like printify be bad quality. So I was like,
Yeah.
I'm just gonna like mess around. I think it was a weekend when I was sick, so I didn't feel good. I was
Yeah.
like, let me just like throw some things together and order like a sample and see what happens. And they like I've worn and washed this one 3 or 4 times and it's still
It's great.
like
It's
perfect. So
wonderful. If you
yeah.
have ideas for designs,
Mhm.
let us know and we'll see what we can do. We're not fancy art people
No.
at all,
I need
but
someone
we
to
will do our
draw
best.
like a little caricature of George Bailey so we could have a show dog shirt.
Yes. Um
I asked my husband if he was gonna wear a fictional boyfriend of the week shirt, and he was like, "No, because I'm not fictional." I was like, "Do you need a show husband shirt? Would you wear that?" He was like, "Maybe, yeah,
I
probably."
have some ideas. We do have I guess we can announce it now. We do, one of our Intruder Alert shirts will have a special limited edition coming
Oh
in
yeah.
early 2024.
Mhm.
I had this insane idea and we're going to see if it works. Hopefully it does so that we can put out this like limited edition.
Yeah.
It'll only be available for like a couple months and then we'll take it down and you won't be able to get it again.
Yeah.
Specifically because it will say 2023
Mhm.
on it.
Right.
But anyways, so yeah, keep an eye out for that. Hopefully it works out. I'm working on it right now, but we'll see
But
how
you
it
won't
goes.
see it until the season ends because
Yes.
it might have spoilers.
Yeah. Maybe. Maybe
We'll
no
see.
spoilers. We'll see.
Yeah.
So yeah, go shop. Maybe we'll do like something special for our patrons.
Ooh, that would be cool.
We'll do some sort of patron special as
Yeah.
well. So if you want to know what that is, join us on Patreon.
Yeah.
Go to theincoherentfangirl.com/Patreon and sign up. We have like, and you get early access to the episodes, which
Yeah,
is always fun.
they've seen all of the shirts days
Mm-hmm.
ago.
They have.
Yeah.
We posted that. They knew about Chloe before everybody else.
Hmm.
So yeah, go do that.
Does that mean it's time for spiel?
Is it spiel time?
I think it's spiel time, and we've changed the spiel slightly.
We did just a little bit because we're saying bye-bye to the bird.
Goodbye with a
Goodbye and
bird
good
to the
good
bird.
riddance. So anyways, if y'all enjoyed this episode, please like, follow, and subscribe wherever you are listening to us. Please follow us on social media. We are at the Incoherent Fangirl on all the things, except for the bird.
Yes.
Ignore the bird. All the things, including threads, which we're
Which
kind
we
of obsessed.
freaking love. I'm so
Love
obsessed with
threads.
threads. I
I
can't.
love threads. If you're not on threads, what are you doing with your life? Please go. Please
I
go
don't know
sign up.
because it's like the most wholesome place of the
It
internet.
is so wholesome. I love it. It's such a good space. I'm such a fan. So follow us. We are at The Incoherent Fangirl. Visit our website, theincoherentfangirl.com, where you can stream all of our episodes as well as read our blog, which I have been writing so many blog
I wrote
posts.
4 in like 2 days
2 days.
the other day. I
Yeah.
was like, who am I? A
Yeah.
hoarder of reviews. That's who.
There are so many reviews on that blog. Go read and be merry.
Yes.
Um, and like I said earlier, you can join us on Patreon, theincoherentfangirl.com/Patreon. You'll get early access to our episodes. Depending on what tier you're on, you can also get our video episodes where you can see how much of a hot mess I am today.
You
It's
look so cute. I like your
very,
little bun.
it's like, it's not a bun, it's floofy.
Oh, still a ponytail.
It's a little ponytail.
Cute.
Because I needed it off my neck. Because it's hot over here. So you could get a video episode and see our beautiful faces. Because we're cute even when we're sweaty and gross. And you'll get, sneak peeks of things early, like we said, and maybe, I don't know, we'll do some Patreon exclusive deals or something, or
Yeah.
exclusive.
We need to set up a Patreon coupon off
We'll
of our
figure
merch.
something out. We'll figure something out for our patrons.
Yeah.
So head on over and do that. And if you have any questions, comments, concerns, suggestions, especially if you have design ideas, you just want to tell us we're
Tell us we're
pretty,
pretty.
anything like that, send us an email, theincoherentfangirl@gmail.com. We love hearing from y'all. And one last way to support the podcast is, well, I guess it's not the last way, because you can also go shop our merch.
Hey, we gotta add merch in
We
there.
gotta add merch to our spiel. You can go to theincoherentfangirl.com/shop and shop our merch.
Buy our merch.
Very exciting.
This is so freaking cool.
But if you need a free way to support the podcast, you can rate and review it on whatever platform you are listening to us on. That would be amazing as well. And finally, she is at Mandy Perv on all the things.
And she's at Ms. Made in China on all the things.
And once you are done following us on social media and the podcast on social media, you can go visit our internet besties who we love and support always.
Yes, we do.
Head over to herecomestenerd.com, where you can use code FANGIRL to get 20% off your first order.
Then head over to onceuponabookclub.com because you're going to need a bookish things to go with all of your nerdy pins and goodies. So we've got 2 coupon codes for you to choose from. We don't care which one you use. We're not going to be offended. Either Karin 10 or Mandy 10 will get you 10% off at onceuponabookclub.com.
And once you've gotten all of that, you're going to need something to like cozy up with. You're going to head over to entrancingelixirs.com and use code FANGIRLT to get 10% off your order. But remember, there's no I in fangirl. It's FANGRLTEA.
And then from the start how much we've loved Amber D. Lewis. Okay. She's our baby doll. As my 4-year-old niece would say, she's our little sweetie pie. That is like the top tier compliment. She's our little sweetie pie. So you need to go get the Fire and Starlight Saga right now. AmberDLewis.com and use code FANGIRL10 for 10% off your purchase.
Yay.
Insane.
And the series it's almost the end.
It's almost the end. How do we do this?
So now is the perfect time for you to buy it all up at a discount.
Yeah.
Oh, and also Amber has swag boxes right now.
Yeah, the swag box
for the last book. Yes, please.
I've got mine ordered.
I've got mine too. You can also go and support the show husband. He's got lots of goodies going on. I don't know anything about it. She can tell you.
He's currently filming in a secret location for a new episode. So keep an eye out for that. I'm sure I'll be talking about it once it's edited and posted and all of that. So we've got Searchers and the Paranormal Mind podcast. New episodes every Friday. So listen to ours and then go listen to theirs.
Ours first.
I will say this one has been lying on my name. One of my nieces went with him the last time they did a batch of recordings at their studio. And he said when he gets up to leave in the morning and I'm still in bed, I'm like, whatever, love you, bye, stupid. I've never in my life said that. I'm always like, don't forget the lunch I packed you. Have a good day. Love you. So keep in mind, he's making me to seem a lot meaner than I actually am to him. Okay. So
Stair
keep that in
key.
mind. Yeah, listen to our podcast. And then once you're finished listening to this, go listen to the Paranormal Mind and leave them some comments on their social media about how we don't like this Mandy slander.
Mm-mm.
He did get told off by his coworker, I mean his co-host recently in an episode because he and I argue all the time about dragons versus wyverns. He says they're the same thing. I say no, they're not. And his co-host agreed with me and he got told he was wrong. Oh, speaking of, I forgot to show off my new tattoo for the
Oh
Patreon.
yeah.
I got a book. I got Belle, Beauty and the Beast, Wispies, and I got some wyverns flying out of a book, and then some like little North Star things.
Love.
That was a sidetrack. Anyways, head to searchersbelieve.com. They have merch. They are getting some new merch soon. We're looking at doing a hoodie. Once it gets a little colder, use Fangirl 10, you'll get 10% off. And then I also need to talk to someone, but we may have another coupon code coming soon. And we've talked about it and you've forgotten it. And I forgot it, but I'll remind you later.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
I just remembered. So we may have
Okay.
another bestie to add soon.
Oh, I love Friends.
I know.
Yay.
So that's all of our besties right now with our
Yay.
coops.
Go visit them. Go shop.
Yeah.
Go, have joy. Have joy.
Yeah. And like Karin usually mentions, and I'm gonna take over on this episode. We'll lie for you.
Yes.
You got somebody policing your spending. That box is from Mandy and Karin. I want to give away.
Congratulations. You
Yeah,
won.
you're just DM us and let us know, and we will totally vouch for you. Yeah, we ran a contest. We deleted it so that nobody continues to try to win it. But yeah, it was there.
We didn't want them
And
to be
they won.
confused. Yeah.
Yeah. So congratulations on winning the prize. You're
We're
welcome.
proud of you. You're welcome.
Yeah. And we shipped it really fast because we're that freaking good.
We're magical.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
We've learned the error of our ways.
Yeah. I think that's it. I think that was the
Incoherent
Fangirl.
fangirl. Very on brand, very off the
Yes.
rails.
We
That
love
should be
you.
our slogan.
Yes.
On brand and off the rails.
Off the rails. Yeah. That's it.
All right. We love you.
We
Thanks
love
for
you.
listening.
Goodbye.
Bye. We are sponsored by our friends at Here Comes the Nerd. Pins, stickers, magnets, and more. Here Comes the Nerd has happy art for all fandom-loving hearts. New customers can use coupon code FANGIRL during checkout for 20% off their first order at herecomesthenerd.com. Coupon applies to ready-to-ship items only.